Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're looking at the wild corporate survival story of an absolute American icon, Brooks Brothers. Now, this isn't just about clothes, right? It's really a profound look at what actually happens when a legendary company completely loses its identity and the radical, honestly brilliant, operational strategies it takes to pull it back from the absolute brink. To kick things off, check out this 1818 mission statement. It totally anchored the brand's original promise. Founder Henry Sands Brooks was literally obsessed with quality and service. Reportedly, he even offered his young professional customers a glass of sherry while they tried on his latest creations. Talk about a different era. But this obsession, it set the stage for well over a century of total dominance, long before they almost threw it all away by forgetting these exact words. Part 1, 2 Centuries of American Style. So to really wrap our heads around the massive scale of their later crisis, we first have to appreciate the sheer weight of their history. 200. That number represents over 2 centuries of operation. Hitting their 200th anniversary in 2018 meant Brooks Brothers was firmly cemented as America's oldest retailer. But here's the thing. Surviving for 200 years, that doesn't happen by just standing still. While we might think of Brooks Brothers as just classic today, Henry Sands Brooks and his successors were basically the influencers of their time. They were constantly pushing the envelope on retail innovations. Look at this timeline. They invented the button-down collar in 1896 just to stop polo players' collars from flapping around in the wind. And they brought that bright Madras plaid to America in 1920. They weren't just following style trends, they were literally dictating them. And that relentless focus on quality? It lured in some of the most powerful figures in history. Abraham Lincoln was actually wearing a custom-made Brooks Brothers coat the night he was assassinated. Ulysses S. Grant ordered their uniforms for his Union officers. And Fred Astaire, get this, he famously looped their ties through his trousers to use as belts. They built this incredibly loyal, deeply traditional customer base. It's the kind of foundation most brands would absolutely kill for. Part 2, the casual dressing crisis. But, as we know, heritage alone doesn't guarantee survival. When the 1990s brought this massive wave of casual dressing to the corporate world, Brooks Brothers faced a brutal identity crisis. And this is a huge lesson for all of us. Alienating your core audience just to chase a trend, that is a very dangerous game. By 1988, British retail giant Marks & Spencer had bought the company for $750 million. And when men stopped buying suits, absolute panic set in. Under their new ownership, Brooks Brothers aggressively expanded into trendy, casual items. As the trade papers perfectly put it back then, they were chasing the young and the suitless. We're talking grooming collections, golf apparel, tons of jeans, even Brooks Jazz CD collections. And in doing so, they completely alienated their core business professional customer. You can actually see this jarring repositioning right here. On the left, you've got the traditional Madison Avenue storefront. It feels classic, confident, like a high-end country club, right? But then, in 1999, they opened this new flagship on Fifth Avenue over on the right. With its modern glass facade and that airy floor plan, they completely abandoned their heritage. They were essentially trying to mimic Banana Republic or J. Crew. The clothes matched the trendy new building, sure, but it just wasn't Brooks Brothers. Future CEO Claudio Del Vecchio saw this mess and hit the nail right on the head. He said, "Nobody is better at being J. Crew than J. Crew." Trying to be something they weren't only drove their most loyal customers away. Basically, Brooks Brothers had completely forgotten about the suit guy, that deeply loyal customer they used to dress 5 days a week. Well, the financial impact of alienating your core audience is pretty much always devastating. Just look at these numbers. Operating profits in North America plunged from an already struggling £20.2 million in 2001 all the way down to just $14.9 million the very next year. They were bleeding out, and their British owners desperately wanted to wash their hands of the American market. Part 3, the 2001 rescue mission. Enter Claudio Del Vecchio. Now, he grew up in Italy working in his father's factory, so he really understood the meticulous craft of metalworking and the deep, complex intricacies of supply chains. His company, Retail Brand Alliance, swooped in during a super uncertain economic time, Thanksgiving Day 2001, just months after the September 11 attacks. They bought the Aileen brand for $225 million in cash. Let that sink in. That is less than a third of what Marks & Spencer paid for it just 13 years prior. Part 4, rebuilding the classic foundation. Del Vecchio didn't look at this as just some quick financial flip. He actually viewed Brooks Brothers as a beautifully complex but totally broken machine that required a master craftsman's touch to rebuild from the inside out. His turnaround blueprint, which you can see mapped out here, was the exact opposite of the old regime. He said, "Stop chasing trends. Let's win back the loyal professional by aggressively restoring quality, return our focus to classic suits, and use massive supply chain leverage to actually make the economics work." To pull this off, Del Vecchio dug straight into the logistics. He upgraded raw materials across the board. They moved to softer 18.5 micron yarns because they held dye much better. They ripped out those stiff wool canvas jacket liners and replaced them with luxurious camel hair so the jackets would retain their shape. And because we were sourcing for 150 stores, they had the massive scale needed to push suppliers for strict quality control, all while keeping costs incredibly competitive. I mean, they could sell a classic, high-quality knit polo for $49, while competitors were out there charging $70 for the exact same quality. That's a real game changer. He also completely overhauled the retail experience. He utilized all their channels, from the massive flagship locations all the way down to the factory outlets shown here, to recreate a confident, welcoming vibe for the customer. The whole goal was to make that traditional buyer feel like they were part of the Brooks Brothers family again, no matter where they happen to be shopping. Part 5. A modern brand acquisition. So that initial turnaround absolutely worked, stabilizing the brand for a solid 2 decades. But fast forward to 2020. The global retail landscape experiences another seismic shift, requiring a completely new kind of corporate structure to keep the heritage alive. To adapt to a highly digital global generation, Brooks Brothers was acquired in September 2020. But it was a really unique partnership between a global brand owner, Authentic Brands Group, and a leading retail operator, Spark Group. They deployed this incredibly innovative split operation model. It's such a fascinating structural evolution. Just look at how they broke this down. Step 1. ABG buys the intellectual property, the name, the trademarks, and focuses entirely on overseeing global licensing. Step 2, Spark acts as the core licensee, fully taking over the daily grind of retail operations, wholesale, and e-commerce. And Step 3, they share the marketing duties to launch fresh collaborations. By dividing IP management from the daily retail logistics, they can independently leverage the tremendous equity of the brand while staying super operationally nimble. It's brilliant. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. We've seen Brooks Brothers survive by innovating their products, by completely rebuilding their supply chain from the ground up, and now by fundamentally restructuring their corporate ownership model. So in a world where the retail landscape is shifting faster than ever, is brand heritage alone ever really enough? Or is radical operational evolution the only true key to corporate survival? Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating journey with me.